track is ready.
Hello and welcome to Asseto Corsa Competizione Season 2 hosted by IRC. You join me, 8 Cylinders of Fury, your host for today, and joining me here today is my fellow co-commentator, Quantum. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I'm pretty good.
We will also be joined by our eyes in the sky, our man in the back room, DJ Electric, who will be operating the cameras for us. Let's quickly hop on board to the fast lap, which will be narrated by Quantum.
Today I think we have Ghost driving for us. Probably I don't know who's driving for us today. But yeah, we have the start-finish line of the infamous Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And right now we are heading into the Les Sous, the famous hairpin of the Spa track. From the Les Sous we will head on towards the Orouge and Radion coming right up. So this part of the track is quite iconic for lots of reasons. I'll speak about those later. Right now heading on to the Camel Straight. I mean, it's famous for both, like good and bad reasons. And from the Camel Straight, this is probably one of the most high-speed sections of the track. We head into the Les Combes. Les Combes regarded as one of the best overtaking zones for both the GT3s as well as the F1 cars. And from that we head on to the Rivage and then upcoming into the Pohons. The Rivage a pretty slow right hand followed by the double left-handed Pohons. The Pohons are somewhat of a medium speed. I mean, for the GT cars, they are kind of medium speed sectors, you can say. Some cars can just, go through them in the fourth gear. Some might have to coast a little. From the Pohons, we'll straight away jump into Fans, and from Fans, we'll go directly into Paul Ferrer, or previously known as the Stravalot. In between Paul Ferrer and the Fans, we have the Campus Corner coming right up. Crossing this Travelot right now, we will head into the long right-hander, the smooth right-hander before going into the double left-handed Blanchiment, starting right here. The Blanchiment, another corner like the one, double left-handed, pretty fast I would say. And from that we'll straight away head on to the final bus stop chicane before the start-finish line. And that's a lap around Spa-Francorchamps.
Just a small clarification, the video was provided by Anirudh.
Oh, Anirudh, yeah, okay, yeah, not Ghost, yeah. Probably the car, I should have been identified by the car, but yeah, thank you Anirudh for that. And right now we are in the qualifying, I guess, for the practice just ended and we'll be going into the qualifying. So, 8 Cylinders, this is your first time commentating on ACC, so what are your expectations from the game?
Well, being a track that I am fairly familiar with during my brief period commentating on Formula 1, I think I'm more interested to see just how these cars are different to why they are on the Spa-Francorchamps track as compared to Formula 1. I believe if you ask any motorsport fan, they'll tell you that Formula 1 is one of the most esteemed circuits on the Formula 1 calendar is Spa-Francorchamps alongside one of the most people applaud. It's usually because I would say the most good quality of racing in these levels also unpredictability that we usually see in the races. So I'm very interested. What's your thoughts?
Same. Spa is one of those tracks in ACC that you can expect, a lot of drama from. I mean, one of the tracks that goes, up and down. It's all about the uphills, the downhills, and sometimes you can expect like a lot of, what can I say? Like unexpected overtakes from like suddenly you will see a back marker just fighting for his positions, and sometimes you will see the top three people just fighting all together because you make one mistake in this track and there'll be people biting you off from your position. uh Elective, can you change the interval mode to leader?
Okay, give me a second. Wait, the key is I, right?
Yeah, it's I. And the best thing about the cars in like the GT3 class is you can really race bumper to bumper. So the the moment the lights go green, people will be fighting with each other. From the Lesos to the Radion up to the Camel Street, you can expect a tight fight from every one of them because like you can just stay on the bumper of someone, enjoy the slipstream, and have that advantage of like overtake just before you enter the less combes, or even before the bus stop chicane where you follow someone through the Blanchimont, and just before someone enters the bus stop chicane you use late braking to your strategy and you just overtake them before the start finish line. Like this is one of those tracks like you can expect something, like you can always expect something going on.
I understand. There's always an unsurprising element here. So there's always an unpredictable element. You could say.
Yep, always.
If you would possibly say there is one part of the track where we'll be seeing the most action, where would you be pinpointing to keep an eye on for the or a part of the track which will be probably receiving the most attention where drivers will look to make most of their moves? Where would you potentially as a
Because unlike Formula 1 or like the open wheel races that we generally have, cars cannot go like flat out onto the Orus. They have to lift off. Either cars lift off just before the Orus and we see dodging slipping away. And just as I was saying, so yeah, just before the Orus the cars usually lift, or just before the Radion cars usually lift a bit and course so that they don't lose control of the cars. And if you cannot make up for that lost speed, the car behind you will probably catch up. That's one part of the like circuit that you can see some drama. And another would be the double left-handed Blanchimont, because this part of the track is quite slippery. If you get onto the curb which is on your left side, and if you
Underwood's Ferrari is a proper good-looking car. That deep red, very underrated color on Ferraris.
Yeah, now we are back.
Okay, cool.
Also, PP, can you let me know about my audio levels now? Is it a little bit better?
Change the settings a bit.
Okay.
Yep, you guys can start.
Alright.
so sorry for the delay, guys. There was a bit of problem. So yeah, we are back into qualifying. 6 minutes left into the qualifying, and we still have Anirudh Sundar on provisional pole with 2:18.474, followed by Prakar Vats 1/100th of a second slower than him, followed by Shetty, who is just 300ths of a second slower, followed by Abhishek 500 seconds, and Aurora. The gap between Aurora and Abhishek 40th, no, it's not 40th, it should be 4,000ths of a second, right? Yeah, it's 4,000ths of a second in between them. Then followed by Jackster 1,000th of a second. Then followed by goes to his 1 second behind pole. Then Tomala, we have Tomala, a newcomer for our race today. I haven't seen him for the last 4 races, so yeah, he's a new face for me. Then we have Tyagi, the our underdog for this race today. Like Tyagi has been performing really well. You have to watch, keep an eye out for Tyagi. Like he is that person who will come to bite you. Like you lose.
Ooh.
Oh, that was a close one.
Nervy moment there between the 48 Porsche of Dwajin, and it seemed like there was Kaushik going past, who's currently sitting in 9th place. And yep, that was Kaushik. He seems to be set.
That was a really bad move from Dojin, like joining like that while there is a car behind him. And we have Joseph, and then we have Aladdin and Sajid. So yeah, Joseph, the most unlucky driver in my eye from like 2 races continuously. One where he was crashed out, and another he just went into the gravel and lost his tire. So yeah, having high hopes for him today. Let's see what he can do. And we have another person joining us for today. That's Das. I think that's a real SD joining us for the race today. So yeah, going back into the standings, currently we have Prakhar Vats with his McLaren in P1 with 86 points. Then Ghost again with his McLaren at 70. Then Casey in his Bentley 64, who is not there for our race today. Followed by Kapil, another Bentley boy with 58 points. Jackster, who has been missing for 3 races now with 57 and his Audi. Then followed by Superbold with his Ferrari 488 with 53 points, and followed by Ankit again at 53 points. Then we have Anurid at P8 with the Ferrari Evo at 48, Abhi at 46 points, and then we have Krish Bhai with 43 points with his Vantage. That will complete the top 10 for our standings right now. So yeah, coming back to 8 cylinders. So 8 cylinders, what car do you want to see on the grid performing well other than the Bentley? And we see Sajid spinning out just before the middle of the Pohons.
Well, if you were to ask me, considering the fact that there are so many Ferraris on the grid here, we have, nearly 4 Ferraris. Well, that's nearly 1/5 of the total number of cars in the session. I'd like to see someone in a non-Ferrari car, maybe potentially edging out the Ferraris.
Oh,
The choice. So maybe a part of me wants to see one of the non-Ferraris, maybe a McLaren or an Audi, putting it on pole position. But seeing the current pace of the drivers, I stand mistaken. Prakhar puts it on provisional pole with a 2:18.342. The McLaren making me endorse my own words from just a couple of moments ago. I might be calling it, guys. Place your bets.
So yeah, we have another person joining us for the race. That's Deepak Raj. I'm not sure his name in game, but yeah, that's probably Deepak Raj joining us today. And so yeah, as you said, the McLaren outpacing the Ferraris. So we have a McLaren, Ferrari, then an Audi, and then probably Vantage of Aurora. So yeah, McLaren outpacing everyone right now. So yeah, Prakhar Vats, he's a really good contender. As you can see, he's P1 currently in the championship standings, and he has been formidable for his past 4 to 5 races. So let's see what he can do today.
As I said, it'll be good to see a non-Ferrari car, not showing it to the Ferraris per se, but giving the Ferraris a good fight for their money. And I think my money's on Prakhar for this race. He seems to be doing a good job as we drop below less than 2 minutes in qualifying. The drivers really should be on their flying laps now, if not preparing for their final flying lap. A couple of drivers still in the pits here, and a couple of drivers still haven't set their even a banker lap yet. Aladdin, Sajid, Das, and Deepak all currently not setting a lap so far, but I do believe some of them are on their flying laps now. There seems to be one Lexus, no real representation for Japan here. Come on, guys.
Electric, can you increase his volume a little bit more? I think the audience can't hear him properly.
I have maxed it out. Like,
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Is there something on my side potentially?
Okay, I increased it. Okay, I maxed it out. Let's see if it works.
Okay,
All right.
see if it's one.
I do apologize if people have not been
it's fine,
able
it's
to hear me
fine.
at the start.
So someone says you love curry sandwiches. I don't know if that's racist or not, but okay.
I can already tell you who that might be, and that might be my friends from the UK. That could potentially be them. And no, that's not even the slightest bit racist. What are we on about? This is the 21st century. Political correctness has gone out the window by now.
One thing that you can try is quantum speak a bit lower, and you can reduce the game audio by 1 or 2 clicks.
Yeah, I did register
Yeah.
the game audio.
This is the first time I'm hearing someone asking me to speak a bit lower. I'll do it. Don't worry. Yeah. Finally. Thank you.
Deepak overcooking it into the bus stop chicane there
Ooh,
and
that was a
popping
massive hit.
curbs. Suspension's probably crying for mercy there as he hops the curbs of the bus stop chicane just coming out of the last corner. As it stands now, qualifying is over. We have a 2-minute cooldown time as the final drivers going on their flying laps will be registering their flying laps now. As it stands, Brokavats on pole, provisional pole position with Abhishek in second and Anirudh in third. 2 Ferraris and a sole McLaren in the top 3. 3 Ferraris and a single McLaren in the top 4. We see an Aston Martin in fifth. It seems to be a very Ferrari inclined race layout here today. But as it stands, Brokavats in the McLaren takes the pole position in round 8 of ACC.
So Anhai just wants a shout out from Electrip. So Electrip, if you would like to, give him a shout out. And yeah, Uzer, why is it called the bus stop? I have never seen. No, it's actually called the bus stop chicane because when the track is not used for racing in the past, it was opened for public, people to drive around. That there was a bus stop there, so that's why it is called the bus stop chicane. Like there's no
Also,
other reason it's called the bus stop because it used to be a bus stop. So yeah.
it's hard to, or maybe it may be an obscure fact, but Spa originally was a road circuit, kind of how Le Mans is today, in that once it used to be a standard road. And
Yep, absolutely.
anyways, we are getting pretty close to lights out here. I think we still have 1 minute and 50 seconds until we get going, although that time may change. So, I think we should get an early race prediction from you, Quantum. What do you think will be our top 3, let's say? And who are
Before
you?
the top 3, I would like to say something that I have been willing to say for a long time. Pit stops in ACC Spa matter a lot because this track has a huge pit lane. It starts from the bus stop chicane and ends at Radion. And in between that entire stretch, everyone has to maintain that pit speed. So, pitting in this track, it's very important, like to choose that perfect timing. So, I would say Prakhar Vats, Sundar, and probably Jackster out of the 3 people have the highest chance because I have seen these 3 people pitting at the right moment during a race. I do not know what will Abhishek do because he has very weird pitting times compared to others. But let's just hope he is able to like keep his P2, And what about you? What are your predictions?
30 seconds.
Well, since I am new to ACC and I am new to the whole GT3 scene, I think I won't really put my money on anyone this time, and I'll just sit back and enjoy the good racing, hopefully amazing racing that we are going to witness here for the next 1 hour. The duration of the race is 1 hour. We are just about ready to get started here, so this is a bad time to leave the stream if you are thinking about it. 5 seconds to lights out and we should get going, and I do hope we are in for a fantastic race this time.
Prakhar Jackstravi, and I just is like Prakhar Jackstravi. Okay. And any more bets? So who will be where?
We are on the formation lap.
Yep, the formation lap. Yep.
Okay.
Just after the Lisus, we will have the green light. So yeah, it's not a full formation lap, but just the last. Yeah, just a rolling start from the last corner.
Okay. You see the car slowly filing.
This is
through
probably
there.
the largest grid I have seen since I joined the box. So yeah, high hopes for this race.
We are all anticipating a very close race here. Hopefully everybody keeps it clean, but keeps it competitive, gets their elbows out. I think it's time for some of these boys to showcase just how
And
good
we
they
have
are.
green light. And we see Abhishek going into P1 just before the Aruj. Prakhar was falling into P2. And we have a crash. Masoom was caught in an accident. And I think it's a 7-car crash, probably. Can we just focus on that part? No, we missed it. Yeah, we missed it.
Oh, a lot of contact
Senti
here.
touching the
going
side of
through.
Sundar. Okay.
A lot of drivers eager to get their elbows out very early. Proctor seems to have dropped the position already, even before halfway through the lap.
Yep, F for
This
Masoom.
will-
True that. Like, I think he received either 20 or 23 seconds of damage for that. That's bad. And yeah, I think Reddy went into the pits from that accident.
Also, another thing to mention for any of you who are watching who are new to GT3 racing, the little information that I know about GT3, I will share it with you, is that generally in F1, when you receive contact, the pit stops are very quick. I mean, front wing, generally 20, 25 seconds, you're out. In GT3, you receive a pit stop, even in the game anyway, you receive a pit stop based on how much damage you received. So if you've received 20, 30 seconds worth of damage, even for light impact, you have to sit in the pits for 30 seconds before you can start making the long journey through the long pit lane. More damage, more time. It's all proportionate to just how big of a shunt you received from your nearest competitor. That is something that I have noticed with GT3 racing.
Yeah, and once your car is damaged, like, you will lose a lot of performance. And as we have seen in past races, even from our leader Prakhar, he lost his Zandvoort race just because his car was damaged a little bit. So yeah, damage can be a big thing in this race.
Back
And
there between the levels, that may have been some little bits of contact on the rear end, just enough to send him 180. Seem to be settling into their positions now, getting their elbows out, going into turn one. Everybody getting very close to that barrier. This is the kind of racing that we love to see. The racing where the limits are just ever so narrow between getting the perfect overtake and sending your opponent to the shadow realm.
And we see that Abhishek is driving far away from the crowd. And currently we have Abhishek in P1, followed by Vats in P2, Shetty in P3, Sundar in P4. I think the gates haven't updated yet. Yeah. So P5 Chaudhary, P6 Ghost, and P7 Aurora. And we have seen Shetty being involved in 2 or 3 accidents right now, and also Ghost being involved in more than 2 or 3 accidents currently. So yeah, we have to wait for those. And Aurora on the back bumper of Ghost, trying to creep
Right there.
in before going
Right
into,
there.
yeah, before going into the pohons. And can we just go back at the end of the grid for once? Yeah, so we have Sajid, Dwajin, Deepak, Masoom who went into the pit right now. Okay, so yeah, probably he completed his lap and went inside the pit. And we have Joseph before Sajid and Aladdin. Aladdin probably getting away from that accident. I still don't know what happened there, whose
Aladdin
fault it was, or
probably got the best start. He started towards the tail end of the grid and has made his way up almost near the top 10. So you could say in retrospect, some people's losses, another man's gain. Aladdin making a good start. The number 69 McLaren, aptly named.
yeah. And Aladdin driving a McLaren. No, I didn't notice that. He usually drives an Audi. So yeah. And another thing, like, I really don't know what happened during that contact. Just So we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for that bit of delay, and yeah. So right now we are watching the replay of an incident that involved Jackster, and he's going up onto the Rouge, and just before going onto the Camel Straight, he tries to avoid a car, goes onto the barrier, and we see Jackster, Tyagi, and can we just move back 1 second and see who was the car? Like, can you just change the camera?
There was someone sliding across the track.
Yeah.
Snapping oversteer and then. Ooh.
And that was Shetty and Aurora. Okay, so Shetty and Aurora were also involved in a crash. So that's a 4-car pileup. Okay, that's bad. That's bad. And I really feel bad for Jackster. Ha, man. We can't do anything, but yeah. So yeah, this is really bad for like all 4 of them.
Terrible.
There was a contact and Shetty being rammed, like T-boned. Okay. And going into the live race, and we have Aurora on the side just making his way into the pit. I think his car is heavily damaged, and we have Abhishek, Vats and Sundar still leading the race in top 3, followed by Chaudhary Ghost. Aladdin made up to P6, and we already have seen 2 retirements.
Absolute stormer of a race here from Aladdin. He's gone from the pretty much dead last. I wouldn't say dead last, but he started somewhere at the back. And he's made himself up valiantly up to 6th place, although I would say he has been helped by the number of incidents that have been happening, a regular occurrence at Spa. All the drivers keen to get their elbows out are putting more than their elbow out.
So that's like 3 retirements already. Okay. We went from 17 people to 14 people already. I don't remember exactly who are the people who left, but yeah, 3 retirements and
3 the person that isn't there is Dwajin in the Porsche.
Dwajin in the Porsche. Yeah. And I think Shetty has left the race. No, Shetty is in the pits. Who else is there? Okay, I'll just check the tally later. Yeah. Anyways. So we have Shetty in the pits, Aurora in the pits, and Sajid in the pits. Can we jump to Aurora's car right now? And as you can see, that's a remarkable amount of damage on his car, and like somehow he has to make it out of the pit within 1 minute, or like he's going to be last. And Shetty, who was in P4. I think he started the race in P4, dropped to P7, dropped to P10, and finally after the last incident he is in P14. So that's bad. Like as I said, we can expect some drama, and this is what I was talking about. What do you think, 8-cylinder? Like odd for the first race that you're seeing here?
I think that in the first 14 minutes here I've seen more drama and controversy than a lot of the F1 racing, well, in its entirety. So very entertained by the prospect of GT3. I didn't know it was this competitive, but it seems to be the case. A lot of these drivers enjoying themselves, but at the same time trying to establish their superiority over each other. If we could just go on board with the sole Bentley in this session, Reddy. I think it's Harshit Reddy in 11th place. He seems to be the only Bentley in this group, repping Queen Elizabeth. I should probably say a proud moment for all British people. I mean, there are McLarens in the session, but the less we say about them, the better. I do have a soft spot for that Bentley. Very beautiful looking car. Seems to be having a tough time with it. They're wrestling his way through the double left-hander. A heavier car, I would say, in comparison to the other GT3 cars, but there seems to be... Are there weight restrictions on the GT3 cars? I don't think there are, but I might be wrong.
Some cars, like the Aston, is ballasted during some of the races, but not all. So, and Sajid
into the gravel
and onto the barrier. Okay, that's bad.
That was the Aston Martin, I believe, of one of the drivers. Did not see that.
No, it was, I think, okay. Okay, I did not see this also.
That's not Proctor, I don't think.
No, that's Ghost.
Yeah, did he make contact with Shetty again? No,
No,
Chaudhary.
that's Chaudhary.
No.
That's
Yeah,
Chaudhary.
so it seems
Lime.
he had a similar incident last race as well. So he's having two incidents of the same type in
Yeah.
two consecutive races.
They were right on each other's bumper going through the final sector. And oh no, this is post the recovery.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is Sajid in his Nissan slipping just before the end of the Paul Ferrer. I think, yeah, just before the end of Paul Ferrer. So, yeah.
I think what some drivers may not have realized or seem to have forgotten is that at that corner, just on the exit, there's gravel. So if you seem to just dip even a single wheel onto that gravel, it completely unsettles the car. And that, as you can see, has had its effect on some of the drivers. Although one driver I should probably bring our attention to, Kaushik Tumala in 9th place in the number 9 Ferrari, ironically. It's his first race in ACC, you said earlier, and he seems to have gotten pretty incident-free in this opening stages.
Yeah, so it's his second race actually. He took part in Monza. So,
Okay, I missed the
okay.
Monza race probably.
Yep. And he is boxed early, so I believe
Yeah, he has boxed early. Yeah.
So I believe he will. He's trying to avoid incidents and basically drive in clean air. Let's see how that pays off for him.
But probably I think he was involved in an incident because I saw Kaushik going into the pits very slowly. So I'm not really sure which incident he was involved, but I'm pretty sure he was involved in one incident. That was not his fault. I think he was just caught up in between two cars and he had no space to go. But yeah.
I think it may have been the opening lap incident is where he was collected by some of the other cars. I
Yeah,
think
so
that may have been-
4 cars have completed their mandatory pit stops. One is Tomala, one is Das, one is Sajid, and one is Aurora. Out of which Aurora, Sajid, and Das had completed their pits because of the incidents, and I'm still not sure about Tomala. So yeah, I won't comment on that. And right now we see Joseph and P7 in his Audi. Joseph was also collected by one of the cars, but like he didn't receive that much damage, so yeah, he was able to avoid. And he I think dropped from P5 to P9, but then again was able to climb to P7. So yeah.
You were mentioning briefly earlier, Quantum, about how F1 and GT3 differ in the way the tires work. Do you think you could expand on that a little bit?
So like the tires, something that even I didn't know is the tire compound is very different from that of F1. But what really happens within the game is, let's say you're driving a lighter car, and let's say you're driving the Porsche, right? And previously Porsche was one of the most unbeatable cars in the game. And what they did was, in the last update, when they updated the tires, they did something to the tires where the tires will react like the real world counterpart. So depending on your weight or your weight distribution of the car, the tire will either like flat out near the center, or they will have those gaps, air gaps between them and the ground on the side of the cars. And some cars, because of that, had to be ballasted. So for example, the 2019 Aston, it has to be ballasted because if the car is very light, and what happens is, the inside and the outside of the car, the temperature of the tire really varies a lot, and because of that reason you can see there is a loss of grip in that car. So sometimes, depending on the racetrack, some cars are ballasted for a lot of weight, some cars are ballasted for a less weight. But then some cars like the Bentley, which is a pretty heavy car compared to the others, it's not really ballasted at all. So yeah.
Great insight there. Thank you very much. I think right now the time gaps that you can see between drivers, I think that might be. I think that's not to the leader. I think that is between drivers. That might be one electric.
It is to the. Give me a second, let me just check.
That's a gap between individual.
This is the
cars.
gap between them. Sorry.
These are the gaps
Okay,
between
thank you.
individual people. So
All right. So right now, after about 8 or 9 laps, we've seen the grid space themselves out a little bit. This is when the game starts. This is when the mind games begin for a lot of drivers. Because right now, they've had the opening laps to settle down, to get an idea of what everyone is doing, or get an idea of who's getting involved in the well, he's getting involved in the incidents. They've had a chance to settle down, and now they can decide, do I need to be thinking about the driver behind me catching up to me? Do I need to be thinking about the driver ahead of me pulling away? Do I need to be increasing my pace? Do I need to be watching my tires? There's another factor in GT3 endurance racing, which is fuel, which is one aspect that F1 drivers don't have to worry about because they get a fixed amount of fuel. They just have to they have to modulate the amount of fuel they're using, not necessarily think about taking on more fuel. Maybe that might not be as big an element. But now is when the drivers really start to come into their own, and the really experienced veterans of GT3 racing. I'm thinking Francorchamps, I'm thinking Alfa Hirotsuno. These guys who've been doing this so long, who've got so much experience, and this is when they start to differentiate themselves from the rest of the field. Because their decision making, the way they're able to evaluate the situation, that's how it changes. That's why GT3 is so much more interesting. Because there are I would say, relative to other forms of motorsport, there's so many unpredictable factors. I mean, we may not see much, but there may be weather changes, situation changes, and I'm looking forward to that. We've still got just under 40 minutes of this race left to go, just under 12 minutes underway, and this is the overall classification as it stands on your left there, including
sorry to break you, but can you just bring the mic a bit forward, because your voice is cutting off in between. It's very low, so yeah, just a little bit would do.
Alright, got
Yeah,
it.
now it's fine. Yeah.
So I think something I'd like to add is that it looks like, I know they're speaking of the pace, so the Ferrari, which I think looks after its tires really well, is getting quicker as the race progresses, and perhaps even he has said the tire pressure is a bit better. So it looks like Android's car is getting racy, while Prague seems to be getting slower as the stint goes on.
Something which I have mentioned, like in lots of races, the longer you drive with the Ferrari, the better it gets, and that's not the case with the McLaren. So in tracks which are longer, like the Spa, or you can even say something which is like, what can I say, a longer track in ACC, let's say Laguna Seca or Suzuka. In those tracks, the Ferrari can easily outperform something like a McLaren, because as we all know, the McLaren is a good car, but then again it has like nothing special to offer. But then again, on the other hand, when we consider the Ferrari is a very good car for the longer stints. The more you drive a Ferrari, the better it gets. Yeah, like it obviously loses parts of the tire because of its rear mid engine thing, but then again it's one of the most stable cars, and in a track like Spa, it can easily outperform something like the McLaren. So yeah, Vats right now really needs to catch his speed and go as fast as possible, because once he makes his beat, Sundar will catch him. And there is the
dive bomb there into the bus stop chicane, goes a little deep, and unfortunately Vats gets him on the cutback.
Yeah, definitely looking like what's going. I race with him in both F1 and ACC, and I can tell him he's one of the smartest in terms of defending.
So as I was reading the comments, someone said that tarmac is used too easy, runoff tarmac. So something like I would point out here, using the runoff, let's say you are using the tarmac, or you are using the astroturfs, or the simple curbs, like those are very common in GT3 because of the weights of the car and like how you drive them. So let's say when we are going into the Les Combes, right, and you can see that there's a black mark, that's the rubber depositing on the curb, and the cars, when they want to set a fast time, or they want to go faster than the car before or ahead of them, they have to use those paths, because those are the best lines that you can get around the track, just because of the weight of the cars and how they behave when going around corners. So yeah, using runoff area is not really a bad thing.
It's true for any racing. Sometimes the lack of grip outweighs the better line outweighs the lack of grip in those areas.
Yeah, and as you can see, track evolution plays a really big part in ACC, and you can see the rubber being deposited over the entire sections of the corner, and once the car like touches those parts, it will have the maximum grip and therefore the maximum pace in and out of the corner. So yeah, using those parts is like something I would recommend for everyone.
Okay. Now, as you say that, what do you think about Ghost? Do you think he's picking up the pace? Let's. I think. Electra, if we can go to the other interval, crossing the line, we can see what each of the relative pace, at least the last lap pace is. So we can tell if Ghost is gaining or losing on the track ahead. So, Incident, what do you think? Do you think that Ghost will be able to catch up to the pair of Pragar and Sundar?
Well, if they
I mean-
this battle keeps hotting up and they do end up pushing themselves into each other, then Ghost may have a chance of picking up the scraps of the battle ahead. It's all a matter of how he wants to play this out relative to the guys ahead of him.
Yep, absolutely. Now let's have a look if Andrew will think about a move.
Something which I have seen from Ghost in the past races, yeah, I'll break that off. Right now we have a fight between Vats and Sundar. Going onto the Oruj and they're still fighting. I think they'll go side by side onto the Oruj or someone will back out. Yeah, Sundar backs out of the fight into the Radion and again Sundar will try to catch up before the Les Combes so he can make an overtake.
Yep.
And coming back to Ghost, yeah, Ghost is a very sensible driver. He knows how to maintain the car, he knows how to maintain the tires, and he knows when it is the right time to pit. Because of that reason, he was able to clinch 2 podiums just because of his right pitting time. So yeah, I can see Ghost coming to that top 3, but we still don't know where Abhishek is. If we can go to Abhishek for once. Yeah, so Abhishek is just 10 seconds ahead of Vats right now, I guess. Abhishek and Vats. Yeah,
14 seconds ahead. So
yeah, 14 seconds. So, and in between there is a car. Okay. So, if Tomala slows down Vats and Sundar, Abhishek will be able to go further ahead, make his pit, which will in turn guarantee him the chance of a victory. So yeah, what I said during the start of the race that Abhishek might not have a good chance, I have to, I think, take it back at this point.
Approaching the halfway mark in our race here, the grid has settled down a bit. Not as many erratic overtakes going on between everyone here. Currently, the closest gap between drivers is between Sundar and Vats currently fighting in and out. And I do think at this point in the race is when we start to see the influence of back markers slowly coming into effect. Back markers now are going to be more of an influence because now drivers have also taken into account how the back markers could affect potential overtaking move at any point in time.
Yep, looks like Pragar and Sundar doing 22s, 20s and 21s. So let's see. So although they are fighting, they're not really losing a lot of pace.
Yep.
Yep.
Asseto currently sitting in P11 in the Bentley. He seems to be having a fairly uneventful race. Currently sitting in the middle of the grid, I would say. What would your thoughts be on the Bentley around a track like Spa?
The best of ideas, I would say.
It is a little bit on the bigger side, isn't it?
Yep, I
Yeah.
think it's a good handling car. I think it's sort of the easiest car when you talk about in these cars taking Rouge flat. I think that's one of the easiest cars to take that corner flat.
Yeah, but where the Bentley loses out is its weight and like the faster sections of the corner, it will eventually lose out to other
Yeah.
cars. So yeah.
But let's not forget, it's also a car which has a very it has ridiculous acceleration out of the corner, so it will be very difficult to overtake. Of course, that wouldn't be a big difference given he's currently sitting at the back.
Yeah.
Currently looking at the cars going through Sector 2 here, we see the front-running cars just catching up to the back of the grid now. And as I mentioned before, back markers now become more of an effect. Do you think back markers may potentially have more of an influence in GT3 as it goes to Formula 1?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah,
Continue, Marcin.
You do definitely, because I think unlike F1 where you see a big pace difference, especially the drivers coming ahead, the difference is maybe a second or less than that. and it's not as easy to get past because these cars are also quite physically larger.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I don't think for the GT3 cars, following closely bumper to bumper is as much a problem as with Formula One, usually because of the intense aero issues that currently Formula One are trying to address with the new regulation change. But less about Formula One. Let's stick with GT3
If we closely observe the battle between Sundar and Praga, you can see Sundar is gaining quite a lot in the high-speed corners. And I was practicing the Ferrari, and I can confirm that in the high-speed sections, the Ferrari is a much superior car compared to every other car in the field. But what we're seeing is that the McLaren has more power. The Ferrari is lacking a tiny bit of top end speed. So we're seeing that Sundar is struggling to get ahead of McLaren, although he does have the quicker car at the moment.
So what would you think would probably be going through Praka's mind right now, trying to hold off Sundar behind him in what arguably is a better car around this circuit? What do you think is going through his mind right now?
He probably knows the advantage he has in the McLaren, and he's probably using. You can see in the lines he takes, he's trying to hold off. He's trying to basically have Sundar tip himself up by being too close to him on the exits. Okay, notice that.
I saw evidence of that when right early on in this battle. I think before they sort of thought that this is a battle that's going to be fought, maybe across the duration of the race, not just in a couple of corners, is when Sundar trying to go for the overtake into the bus stop, just overcompensates a little bit and ended up giving the position back almost in a clumsy manner. So I think right now both of them are being very calculated in their approach, which is good to see because it provides better racing for the rest of us.
Quantum, if I'm not wrong, the Ferrari does have a it's much better on the brakes, I believe, than McLaren. If I'm not.
I mean, it is, but then again, it depends on what pads they are using right now. So I do not know what setups they are using. If there is an change in the pad number, the Ferrari might have a better or a worse braking distance. So not really sure about that. But in theory, if they have the same pad, yeah, probably the Ferrari is better.
Yep. Yeah, as you can see how much Praga out of Stablo, it seems like Praga entered this quite close, but after that you can see that Praga is pulling a gap. But it'll be interesting to see how this back marker plays into this particular battle, as Kaushik goes very wide out of the track to let these guys move.
Ferrari pulling well wide there, not wanting to get in the way of the bigger guys. The last thing you want to do is to be held up by someone in the middle of a battle, and I think even as a back marker, he respects those two.
We got some additional info on what happened to Kaushik. So Kaushik got into an incident with Shubham Das, which is why he had to, I believe is why he also had to head into the pits, and SD also had to go into the pits because of that particular damage.
So we still have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people to pit.
Awesome.
Out of. Yeah,
What lap did that incident happen on?
I think it was lap 2 or 3. Quite early on.
Yeah. So the top 4 people are still left to pit in this game. I mean, the race. My bad. Sorry. And their pitting time will play a major role in who's leading the race and who are in the top 3 position. So we still have to wait on that.
I think stay on board Kaushik and check that he had an incident. The car behind it.
Also, actually, when we come back to the live footage, can you get the timing tree back to the standings?
Okay.
I think
Vettel. Any one of the commentators would like to take on that debate between Alonso and Vettel?
Yep,
just when we are trying to find the replay.
Which debate?
Yeah.
Oh, as you can see. Oh, that's where the incident happened.
That's where it happened. Yep.
Oh, that's not something happened. SD came in on that much practice, and I think as a result, he's been a bit out of touch in this track. I think that's that incident out of the way. So you know what happened there.
I think given the incredible incredible coincidence that we were talking about Vettel and these guys have a bumper cars movement coming out of the fast left-hander.
Yep. Yep, I think with the replay, going back, yep, things are pretty much the same, but let's go back to the other standing screen. It looks like, I'll tell you one person who's doing quite good, Danny Joseph. He had a horror show of a race in Misano, but he's running quite well in P7, considering that he was also part of the opening lap incident.
True, and also Aladdin, who started very far back on the grid, is still holding himself well in 5th position, even though he doesn't quite have the pace to stay with the front runners. He's putting up a good show.
Yep.
So Quantum, I throw it back to you with another question. What would the ideal pit strategy be now for the guys who haven't pitted yet, which is primarily the front runners? These guys have been looking to edge each other out on track position. Where does pitting come into the thought process now?
24 minutes of the race left, and the best idea that I have right now is all of them head into the pits right at the same time. They come out at the same, probably like 1 or 2 second difference, and continue with the race, because the gap they have 16, 10, 20, and I think Aladdin is completing his pit, so the top 4 people, right? The 10 seconds of gap they have in between each other is not enough to compensate during a pit. So probably the best idea is go into the pit when someone else is going, make your pit stop, get the amount of fuel you can, come out, continue with the race.
I think at this point in the race, we also need to not necessarily showcase just how long the pit is, but also just how long the pit lane is. So maybe the next time a driver dives into the pits, we go on board with them and just watch the long wait from the entry to the pit lane to the exit and see just how massive a difference it makes to race strategy. Maybe.
Yep.
Just
it'll be interesting to watch between Anirudh and Pragar, because something I'd like notice that, as you said, that both of them headed to the pits.
As I said, like Sundar won't leave that opportunity, so he's going into the pits along with Vats.
Yeah.
This is where the battle is won or lost here in the pit lane. Don't know how much damage these two guys currently have on their cars as they come into the pit lane.
Something I'd like to notice that
in chat, someone said all F1 drivers are overrated. Okay.
Hot takes and mental patience out in full swing today.
Yeah, let's not forget Ghost has boxed a bit early than these guys, so it'll be interesting to see where they come out.
Also, you will note they've driven right past the F1 pits and have now proceeded down GT.
It's a really long pit lane. Something I think I've noticed is that the McLaren tends to heat up its tires quicker, while the Ferrari takes a couple of laps before they get comfortable. So this could mean that Pragar could sprint away, but then we might come into a situation where Anirudh catches up. But of course, all to watch for regarding who is able to brake at the right time for the pits. Plus, how do you say it? Who is loading up less fuel? Technically, the Ferrari needs to load less fuel because technically the Ferrari needs to load up next fuel as well. Let's not forget.
That is a major element of GT3 as opposed to Formula 1.
Let's go on board Ghost and see where he comes out later. These guys.
There is such a massive gap between P4 and P5.
I think Ghost will be able to cross them.
He had an 8-second gap. I don't think he would have made up 8-second gaps in a few laps, but it's gonna be close.
Oh, he has an 85-second gap. Is it? I think he's 1 lap behind.
It's probably a bit bugged right now. Not bugged, but probably a bit different right now.
Maybe we'll just see if the positions change as he comes past the pit lane.
Oh, Anirudh has had a much longer pit stop.
Yes, he has lost out his place there to Ghost, who now takes over P4 from Anirudh, drops down to
So
P5.
we know that, so we can assume that Anirudh was running on a much lower fuel load in the opening stint.
Also, I think he was involved in a little bit of action earlier on, maybe some damage on his car as well.
With Ghost as well as another car, I don't remember. He was involved in 2 incidents, so yeah, we have to account for that also. So yeah, Ghost takes up P4, and we still have Abhishek. Oh no, Abhishek is in the pits right now. So Abhishek was like 2/3 of a lap ahead of them, and I think he'll be able to complete his pit before everyone comes around the track and crosses him.
Yep. He should be easily ahead unless he himself has been running with a lot of fuel load himself. With a lower fuel load himself. Which should be interesting. But that also means but he's been running 20 minutes into the stint, so that means he has
the dark horse of the race probably. Like no one, especially me, I didn't expect him to perform this well, but he did, and I'm going to give it to him. Like
so he
kudos for his performance.
He switched from the 2018 Ferrari to the 2020 Ferrari, so that seems to be working well for him.
Yeah, the 2020 Ferrari is blisteringly fast compared to the 2018.
Yep. Even the 2018 Ferrari is extremely quick before the BOP rules got imposed.
Yeah.
The SMP Racing livery. Let's see. He should be comfortably ahead. The looks of it.
And yeah, like he had a very short amount of pit time. As you all know, like he was able to cross everyone during that first lap, and he didn't have any damage. So all he needed to do was get that mandatory amount of fuel and whatever extra he needed, and he goes right out. And he has a stop and go. Okay. Wow. Commentator's curse? Probably yes.
It looks like it. He must have gotten it in the pit. Wait, but how? Like he did have. He must have had the automatic pit limiter turned off then.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. So that means
was that for violating the pit speed limit?
Yep. So that pretty much hands the win to Prakhar.
It's now all to lose for Prakhar here. All the chips seem to be in his corner.
He literally has nothing to do at this point because he just needs to drive the car for 18 minutes. So quite an easy win for him at this point, but Abhishek would be kicking him
for the fairness of commentary, what are we saying on Anirudh's chances on possibly also mounting a attempt on the win? He did drop a little further back in the pit window, but
18 seconds with 18 minutes to go seems unlikely. But you never know because if you make a mistake, you're losing like 2 to 3 seconds a lap. A big mistake means like you lose multiple seconds, and that might make it more plausible. But let's not forget the McLaren is not very easy on its tires, so it's possible the Ferrari could be extremely quick in this closing series of the race.
Yeah, so
now that go on.
Yeah, so the gap between Vats and Sundar will probably increase over time because of how the McLaren performs. But then again, we also have Das in between Ghost and Vats. And if I am right, Ghost will try to push Das over to Vats to take that position. So let's see what happens.
I think now that the front runners have distanced themselves a little bit, maybe we'll have a little look further down the grid and see how the other guys have been getting on for nearly coming up to 45 minutes in this race. If we can just switch to the other timing format, and we'll just have a look at how everyone else is doing. So the Bentley, number 8 Bentley already is still
and that's Vats crossing Abhishek for P1.
Okay, Vats has inherited the race lead there.
And also I think Ghost will be able to cross him. Can we just switch to Ghost for like 1 second? See where he stands. And yeah, Ghost is able to catch up to Abhishek and cross him. And right now it's Sundar. I mean, there is still Das in between Ghost and Sundar. But yeah, both of them, if they cross, Abhishek is out of the top 3 right now.
So Prakhar seems to have put himself, no pun intended, in the driving seat in this race with just over 15 minutes to go. Will we see any further changes in the top 3? Do we potentially see some other drivers? I don't think there can be any chance, considering the gap between the drivers, because Maybe there's a chance that Abhishek manages to mount a final push, if you will, and really challenge Watts towards the tail end of the race.
I mean, the people in between Sundar and Vats, they have the pace, you know, to maintain that. And Abhishek coming right out of the pit in P6, and we have seen like Aladdin maintaining that P5 from the start of the race. So I think that will be hard for him, and he will eventually get caught up in the traffic. So yeah, I don't know what I can say regarding that.
You can see some of the drivers negotiating traffic there.
Yeah,
so just cut someone off.
Yep, no problem. Kaushik is probably the fastest car in that train up to P6. I don't think he'll be able to catch Aladdin, but as it stands, Daniel looks like he will have to fight tooth and nail for P6 right now, because the Ferrari should be easily quicker with its less tire wear.
So we have the last 14 minutes of the race. First race for 8 cylinder to comment on. Probably the most awaited race for me. So how was it 8 cylinder? How was the first 45 minutes of commenting on a race?
Well, it's been an absolute roller coaster, man. It's been a fantastic experience so far. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching GT3 racing. These lads going at it on a Thursday evening has been very riveting to watch. All the action, all the racing has been very close, very respectful, apart from a couple of instances, but I think we can chalk those off as racing incidents and just drivers looking to get their elbows out a little bit and establish their dominance on the track. But I've seen a lot of interesting decisions from drivers looking to get the move done, and it's seen them come off a little worse than what they initially asked for. And I think thoroughly I've enjoyed it. I've really liked being here, and it's been very eye-opening to see GT3 as opposed to Formula 1.
I think we just saw something interesting happen, because I think Kaushik thought Abhishek was a back marker, where in reality they were fighting a position.
Did he try to give up track
Yeah,
position by going off?
He gave the track position by going off.
I think even he himself bamboozled himself.
Yeah,
in
that
this race.
I think yep, over there.
There it is.
Yep, no, the previous car. Yeah, this is I think the end of this lap.
On board with Kaushik here, and he just sees the Ferrari coming up in his rearview mirror and decides, I'm just going to give up the track position there. When actually they're fighting each other. Must have been equally confusing for Abhishek, who's just seen his direct competitive track position give up his position.
Yep.
Like exciting race for me. The largest grid I have seen, and probably the most drama in a race I have seen so far. The best fights for top 3. Best fights going into a corner, coming out of the corner, and like probably one of the best races so far in IRC. Once I have started commenting here, so yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Joseph. Just pushing Kaushik coming out of the corner there, just trying to show his dominance in the final minutes of this race here, just trying to hold on to that position. And I wanted to just add on to that point by saying that we've seen so many track battles, but one person who has managed to consistently slip under the radar this race is currently sitting in P5 in the number 69 McLaren. Aladdin has, well, we've only talked about him during this race to see just how far he's come, but we haven't really talked about how much he's done to get there. He's had a fairly uneventful race. You could say he's had a fairly quiet race. He's just been admiring the scenery, if you will, not necessarily been getting too elbows out with anyone. But he's had a fairly good race, and a P5 will be a strong finish for him, considering how far back he started.
Let's not forget, there's been quite a congestion. He's been consistent as well in terms of pace, because that gap to the cars ahead, he's been losing it ever so slightly, but he's been driving quite consistently as well. So we have a request from the chat to see the lap 1 incident at Radion.
right? I think.
Yeah,
looks
I
like
have
it can.
seen Aladdin driving the Audi, and I think he's far more comfortable in the McLaren because of his pace and overall performance. So yeah,
Uh,
like well
I,
done to
I
Aladdin.
don't.
Like
Do we have the lap one replace it
No, it's
accessible?
still, we only have replaced the lap
Oh.
8.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I think it's the first 30-minute saves only.
Yep. So I
So
guess. Yep.
we might have missed out on that unless someone has saved the replay somewhere. We'll check it out
We'll
for
check
you,
it out.
Editors.
Yep.
I think the best option for chat right now, if they do want to see the replay, is
Yeah, you
to
can just
physically
start back into
go
the
back
stream,
in the stream and have a look
Yeah.
there.
But Pragar easily, I think he's pulled a gap of around 5 seconds. And we have Sundar in the chat. Sundar, what happened?
I lost it.
At Rouge?
Yep.
When you hit that.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Oh,
When you
okay.
hit, you mean at the top, when you hit the curb on the top?
Yeah, I jumped over a curb, I guess, and then boom.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's
First time.
Ah, that is
Yeah.
a terrible
That's
game.
right,
Your
man.
battle with Vats was very interesting to watch. It was very good racing between the two.
It was good while I lost it. This is where I lost it, basically. Bobby took a bit of curb and the car just jumped.
Oh, yep.
That's
Yeah.
I tried to keep it
Oh.
off, but then
High G-force impact there from the Ferrari.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you're. Yeah, I've noticed that. I've been noticing that Ferrari is extremely unstable if you take that particular curve.
yeah. I think good race for Prakhar. I think, there was a lot of defending going on from his side. I was like a second faster than him, but I was not able to get past him. So,
Why do I feel like that you're crying? Like I get that from your voice that you're crying. Like, are you crying?
Right? No, I mean, Spa is one of the biggest and most, popular races, and to crash out in Spa is not a good thing, right?
One of the spectacles of the calendar, isn't it?
Yep. And it's, I think, one of the few races where people join. So it's always a good thing to, have the crowd take it to the finish line. But overall, I'd say it was a good race. I mean, while it lasted. But yeah.
I think that's the kind of incident you have where in F1 career mode your agent tells you to find a new team. Anyways,
I mean,
good
yeah,
race,
still
man.
formidable performance.
Good race,
That a good fight from your side, and yeah, it's still a race incident. We can't do anything. Feels bad for
Yep.
you.
Feels
But,
bad, man. Feels bad.
So it turns out there's no Ferrari at the podium now.
Yeah.
We started out with two.
We started out with 4 McLarens in the top 5, and now it's gone
Ferraris.
to...
Four Ferraris.
Oh,
in the top.
sorry, my bad. 4 Ferraris in the top 5, and now we have 1 Ferrari and 4 British cars represent.
Yeah.
Not to be
So
too
if you
biased or
guys
anything.
have something to say regarding what happened to the Ferraris, you can blame it on 8-cylinder because it was his commentator's curse, not mine. Not mine. So yeah.
That's a little
Yep.
harsh, I'd say.
Yeah, but I think we've had 3 Ferraris retire in total. I think have some
Yeah.
incident.
Martin told you.
He was like, yeah, probably like I can expect one British car, one non-Ferrari car, and we'll see there's no Ferrari at all, 8-cylinder. So I think you're happy probably right now inside. All mushy, like, yeah, no Ferrari.
One thing I'll say is that the Ferrari's GT3 situation is very similar to what happened in F1, dude.
Yeah.
Like, not for me, not a Ferrari fan, but yeah, for the people in chat. So
Yep.
yeah.
I'm gonna refrain from angering any Tifosi that may be in the chat by saying no comment on everything.
Yep.
SF22 might be their option, but I don't think so.
From the looks of it, Ghost is kind of losing 3-4 tenths, but I think with this race, the result is pretty much sealed unless Prager's tires puncture or something worse happens. But I think everything's in the bag.
So,
Yep. Good recovery from Harry Rocks, Harshit Reddy. He started from the pits, but has gained 2 places. Actually, gained more, I think 4 places, keeping it relatively clean, I would say. So, yeah. But in the last lap, Gaurav has gotten past him.
So other than the retirements, I think probably the worst outcome is for Shetty because he was in the top 5 when he started the race, and with 5 minutes left, he is in P12 with like think 2 laps behind the leader. So yeah,
It was Shetty who spun first, right? In that in particular incident.
we didn't see from like our
Uh,
perspective. I just saw
we
2
did.
cars spinning out, and like 4 others like got caught up in that, and that's it.
Yep. So we will go through the replay. So we remember Jackster had a spin and
Oh yes, Jackster. We've forgotten about him since he had his retirement earlier on. The race was
So-
Quantum underdogs this race.
Yep. So I don't recall. I think he was fighting with Jackster and Aurora had incident, and then I think that was and Shetty got caught up in that. I think.
Shetty was involved, I think, in all of the 3 incidents that happened. First was in Aarhus, just before Aarhus, then in Les Combes, and then the third was again at the starting of the Camel Street where he was involved. So yeah,
Yep.
all 3 incidents he was involved, and he has been pretty unlucky because I don't think he was the beginner in any of those, but he was eventually caught out.
Deepak Raj scoring points on his debut, P9. He was also caught up in the incident at the opening in the opening lap. So good recovery from him, and Shubham Das also, who had that incident in second lap, is also up to P8.
4 minutes, less than 4 minutes remaining. So 8th cylinder, who's going to be the driver of the day for you?
I think for me, the obvious choice would be Tucker because he's won the race. But I think I'm going to go a little left field, and I'm going to say I'm going to give the driver of the day to Aladdin. He's been the understated driver today. He's done a good job just being very consistent, not making too many mistakes, just focused, kept his head down, and just extracted a good result from this race in the 69 McLaren. He's had a very consistent pace, not making too many mistakes, had a clean pit window. Not really sure if he got involved in any incidents early on, but I think he got his pit window out of the way early. I think he got his pit out of the way early, so he didn't have to worry about that later on. He's just had you could say he's had a very uneventful race, but one might say eventful, another one might say consistent and fairly mistake-free. So I think my driver of the day has to be Aladdin, but of course, honourable runner-up would be Brucker. He's driven a very consistent race, defended well against the onslaught that he received from behind from Anirudh, and it's just been a good race overall from the two of them. What about you,
Yeah.
Quantum?
Same. Aladdin has performed really well. Like overall pace in the entire race, keeping his position. Like he has not been involved in any of the fights, but then again, he hasn't lost his pace overall. So yeah, it's Aladdin. So what about you, Masoom? Who's going to be your?
I think I'm
driver?
gonna go with the same Aladdin. Of course, he's not had a good performance in the season started, but I think he's starting to overcome his limits, starting to push the car more and more, and finding the pace these days. So he's definitely he's having a late bloomer moment, but he's definitely doing good on this race.
I
And
mean,
what about you, Anil?
if I may add my 2 bits here, I would definitely go with Aladdin because he has had an incredible increase in pace and competitiveness, and it's really good to see him. You know, he's been one of the guys who has been consistently quite at the back usually, but he's never given up.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
You know,
I have seen him race from the end of the pack. So yeah.
Irrespective of the kind of result, you know, he has that attitude. He just wants to keep going on. It's not very easy to have that attitude, especially in sim like ACC. So I think it's paid off, and in the future we can see a consistent improvement of pace from Aladdin, and probably look forward to having fight in the mid to the upper section of the pack for the following races.
Yep. So the commentator's driver of the day goes to Aladdin. What about you guys in the chat? Do comment who do you think was your driver of the day for today. And so just less than 1 minute remaining in the race. We have Vats completing 24 laps in P1, followed by Ghost, then followed by Chaudhary, followed by Aladdin in P4. Wait, did I miss something? Aladdin crossed Abhishek?
Yes, long way ago.
Oh, that I didn't notice. Okay, completely my bad. Then
One more thing, I think this is Kaushik's debut race. This is his first race, right?
No. Kaushik had one more race which I missed, was in Monza.
Yeah,
So
but
this is second race.
even for his
Matum told us earlier that he also raced in Monza, I think.
Yeah,
Ah,
This is
okay.
a second.
I mean,
He's
for
had
the
a very
sake of our
understated track. Yeah,
so
go on.
for the so for the sake of our audience, let's just go through all the rookies on our grid today.
So I think it's Sajid, Shetty, Reddy, Deepak, and Tomala, whom I have seen for the first time on the grid. No, not Sajid. I would exclude Sajid. My bad. Shetty, Reddy, Deepak, Tomala.
Timer has run down, and I think Vats
think
is on the
you've
final lap
forgotten.
of the race.
Yeah, you've forgotten one of the most prominent rookies that have joined ACC right now, which is not so Masoom. He's not there in the box right now, but
Yeah,
it's his first
Masoom
race.
has retired. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
and we're
Yeah.
on the final lap.
Vats leading the final lap of the race, followed by Ghost and Chaudhary for the top 3 positions. And
Goes for the good comeback as well, I think. You were counting on him to make a push towards the end, and he paid off. A really good drive from him there towards the latter end of the race, and he's found himself onto the podium.
Definitely.
So, fellow gentlemen on the stream here today, what has been your conclusion for Spa? What would you say can we take away from this race weekend going into future race weekends? Let's hear your points of noteworthy points, let's say.
So I'd say that we're getting a more developing grid. That's definitely there. It's becoming more and more competitive, so that's a very good thing from my observation.
yeah, probably Anirudh is celebrating because I think this is one of the most competitive races he has seen, and I think he's genuinely happy because he wants ECC to grow. And yes, this is a very good outcome, both from the performance, the size of the grid, and the overall pace today in the race. So yeah, same. I expect like this growing and growing and
Rounding off
growing.
the final.
And the
Vats coming
final
across the final
stretch
corner
onto the
here.
start finish line. Vats winning the race as he crosses the line and the checkered flag.
Brilliant race there from Vats.
Oh, we have a drive-through for Aladdin.
Aladdin as well as
Commentator
Aurora.
first at it again.
That's
Our
bad.
driver of the day, seeing some late penalty action from him. Let's hopefully that doesn't affect his finishing position too much.
Go into the pits right now, or else he may get disqualified.
Even Aurora.
Both him
Yeah.
and Aurora has the chance of being disqualified if they cross the line and not go into the pits. And
Oh, what a shame! What a shame! What a terrible way to round off what was a really good race for him.
Yep. But hopefully, I think he may lose a position, but he can still finish ahead of Kaushik. So let's just see what happens. I mean, what does he choose?
if he's aware of this,
right
I
now.
think he'll go into the pits. But yeah, again, last lap drama.
Oh
And
no!
I think he's not aware of the drive-through or
No,
the,
we're right through.
yeah.
Yep.
That means he's disqualified.
Yep. Oh no! Plus 80 seconds. So that's
Plus
gonna
80?
throw him. Yep. Because
My word.
Okay, so that's going to throw him near P7. P10, just before Aurora.
yep. Let's just see as people cross the line, it should rearrange itself, I guess.
Raka doing the donuts for his victory.
Yep. That's pretty standard right now. We've seen that the past 3 races.
A little bit of action there, very close to each other, two drivers, Joseph and Shubham Das, crossing the line in P7 and P8 respectively. I guess the classification changes after everyone crosses the line. Oh, there's a red flag being waved?
Yeah. Because it's the end of the race, right?
Oh, okay. Okay, I was not aware of that. Okay. Gotcha.
And we
Final
have the
driver.
final person crossing the line, Sajid.
Okay, Aladdin keeps P7 after his drive-through penalty.
Wait.
Still a very good race from him.
Yep.
What?
So can we No, it usually rearranges itself because I think Watts would have left the lobby. So can we pull up Prakar, Ghost, and Arjit?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a second. Where are they?
I'm bringing them in. Just hold on. Um, I don't see Prakar here, and I don't see where Arjit Chaudhary is.
Prakhar might not be, he's not in the channel, any of them.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Ghost, P2 in the race. How was
Yes,
today's race for you?
it was crap because I messed up my tire pressures and I was running like from the beginning within 26.0, 26s and 27.0. So with considering the tire pressure, like every lap I lost a second or more. So not good from me. I mean, I was fortunate to get the second place, but Anirudh would have gotten me if he didn't crash out in Oruz. And yeah, I mean,
And you were also involved in a few incidents before, like just after the race started. And any
I think it
comments on
was
those?
just one, no few incidents, just one which is not on the full up one. The source I had think I had contact with a green Aston. So the first lap I had no contact with anyone. I was safe completely, so that was nice. Yeah, that's it.
So overall, I would say formidable performance. But again, yeah. So we
Prakhar is
have
here.
Vats joining us today, the race winner. So Vats, what are your thoughts for the entire race today?
I mean, yeah, it was fun. I mean, the part with Anirudh where I had to defend like a madman was really fun. Other than that, I think I just messed up my strategy in terms of how much pressure I chose to run on the tires. I didn't really notice the track was 3 degrees hotter than it was in quali. I probably should have known that it'll be as effective as it was in the race. So my tires were consistently 28 psi, and as a result, I think Abhishek Dwaraknath. I don't know what happened with him, but it was just incredibly unlucky for him. But yeah, I mean, it was for me. It was a quite an enjoyable. I think I would say it was a lucky race as well. With the penalty that Dwaraknath got. But yeah, I'm happy. I'll take it any day of the week.
And we saw that you just at the start of the race slipped from P1 to P2. So that was something like we all noticed, and we thought like you won't be able to make up because Abhishek was, consistently gaining time over you and Anirudh. But yeah, like you maintained that pace, you fought with Anirudh, and overall a brilliant performance from your side. And I would say a very good pit time into the pit. You came out pretty clear. There was no traffic, so that was amazing. From both you, both went
Your
into
voice
the
is
pit.
breaking.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Anirudh,
Yeah, your
are
voice is
you
breaking,
into
Quantum.
traffic?
Yeah, I think I'll take over for Quantum here a little bit because he seems to be having some mic issues. I just want to convey the same things that he has said so far to Prakhar. Good race, very consistent, very controlled the situation very well, didn't get too flustered by the onslaught from behind. And overall, I have nothing much to add. Congratulations on your race win. That was a very good race from you.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you. Sorry for the voice. I'm having a really tough time with my throat.
Fine, that's
Yeah.
fine. Good race from you, man. Good race.
If we can wait for a minute, I think Arjit will also join us. I'm not sure if he is. Yeah, he should
There
be
we
here
go.
now. Oh,
I think.
And
Yeah, am I audible now?
yes, much
Yeah.
better,
Okay,
yeah.
much better.
Cool.
Arjit, can you unmute yourself? Oh,
I think he is having trouble connecting.
Oh, there we go.
Arjit, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible, dude. Eight
Okay,
cylinders
yeah.
up to you.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
How
hi.
does it? Hi, congratulations on a good race. P3, what are your thoughts on your performance?
Pretty tough race for me. I think it's the first race I've done in a month plus, and Spa is quite tough. So, yeah, I think I lucked out a bit as well. A couple of faster drivers at the front got, I think, a penalty, and one of them pitted quite late in the race. I think I would have gotten a P5 if everything went right. But yeah, and I lucked out basically.
Would you say overall that the race went exactly how you would have seen, or was there elements of uncertainty in there as well?
Yeah, more or less went as per plan. I think I was targeting P6, P7, but then yeah, like I said, it would have been P5 if everything went well. But yeah, I lucked out in P3, so yeah, more or less it went well.
All right, Quantum, anything further to add?
No man, like congratulations to all the three drivers. Like amazing race from all of you and everyone else on the grid today. So yeah, kudos.
That was gripping stuff, really. Everyone, congratulations, not only to the podium, but also to all the drivers who participated today. That was a very, very riveting race to watch from our end. And it must have been from your end as well. And once again, I think that's it from us. Our driver of the day was Aladdin, who unfortunately got a drive-through penalty at the end and dropped from P4 to P7, I think.
Yep,
I
And,
think we can pull up Aladdin. I think he's here in the commentary box. So if
What?
we can have a word from him, then that would be good.
Supreme Leader Aladdin, can you hear us?
Yes,
you hear
yes.
Congratulations on a very, very consistent race. Fairly uneventful, you would say, yes?
Yeah.
And
So, that drive-through, was it heartbreaking or like you
I mean,
didn't even
obviously it
notice?
is heartbreaking because I think I got it on the exit of No Name Corner, and yeah, I mean it definitely heartbreaking. I was ahead of Abhishek, and I think I was going to finish P5 or something like that. So
Oh,
P4,
yeah,
P4 for you.
yeah, so it's definitely heartbreaking because this would have been a great race for me. I exceeded my own expectations because I was expecting to lap in the 23s, but my pace in the 21s was really good for myself, and this was my first race in the McLaren, and the car was really good as well. I nailed the setup, which I made on my own. So yeah, this was a great race for me overall, and at least there's some hope for the next few runs, I guess.
Congratulations. I mean, yes, the last lap was a bit, unstable, but yeah, overall an amazing performance from your side, and probably like you won the driver of the day from us in the commentary box and from the audience, I suppose. And yeah, amazing race from you. Congratulations to all of you. And this is from us in the round 9 of IRC ACC. I am signing off for today. And 8 cylinder, would you like to say the regards?
yes, I think it's been a fantastic evening of racing from everyone. I think everyone's put up a really good show, and it's been a real spectacle of racing. And I look forward to seeing more action from not only ACC, from the rest of the community. Thank you very much. That's everything from my side for tonight.
Yep, thank you very much, and join us for the start of pre-season testing for season 6 this weekend. So other than that,